Today's topic is
the end of editions.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to WAYPN. I'm Cal.
And I'm Sunny.
Today we're talking about how we think we can make your play experience better by giving advice to Games Workshop. And as such, all of our advice will be catered towards them.
These solutions are meant to not only be good for players, but also profitable for the company so that they can actually implement some of these suggestions.
With that said, let's get right into it.
Codexes should be sold at the end of an edition, not at the start.
Currently, there is no reason to celebrate the end of an edition. Every end of an edition is a funeral, not a wake. By releasing the codexes at the end of the edition and giving all players time to play them equally, people will feel included. Not only that, it gives your team enough time to develop the next edition and to iron out some of the kinks.
From the company perspective, they can sell these codexes as limited editions all at the same time. So this will actually prevent scalpers from taking this opportunity to, take all of the editions for themselves because all of them are coming out at the same time. And this allows collectors to get a hold of the codexes that they want. And for the regular folks, the regular codexes will also be out. So this encourages everyone to come to the stores and build excitement for the game and the next edition.
For players, this is going to give them the exact thing that they wanted, the real streamlined experience. Not simplified rules, but they have their codex and their rulebook, and that's it. They don't need to carry 100 different data slates to be able to play their army. This next bit may sound a little scummy, but it's really good for the company. It's going to allow them to rewrite memories of all of the bad experiences that people had carrying around all of those data slates, because the only thing that people will remember is when they're playing this game that they just have the codex and the rulebook, and they're going to go back to these editions with fondness because you're just going to have those two items, and it's going to be such a simple and wonderful play experience.
In other words, they just remember the experiences at the end, not the hassles in between.
Alright, let's talk about some of the problems that this would actually solve rather than the benefits that it gives.
Some players only get up to 6 months to play around with an edition, and this can create a lot of resentment, and it also discourages play and further investment in the game. It also makes it really clear where the company's favoritism lies because Space Marine codexes always come first.
Also, this prevents the codex votan problem. When it was released to the wider market, it was actually invalid as a codex because it had to be updated due to an emergency update. This is a limitation of paper printing. There is no way to go back and edit those in time to have it released for the general public.
Currently, the Space Marine Codex costs 98 Australian dollars, and this can create a barrier to entry into the game. But if you sell all the codexes at the same time, it actually creates hype. And the benefit also is that you only need to spend a one-time cost on these codexes.
In addition, as ironic as it may sound, it is now an investment decision. People may want to go back and play this edition, and they'll want those codexes. Also, Games Workshop will be able to sell this during Christmas rush time, and that will allow them to get additional sales.
So Games Workshop will provide limited print runs of older editions.
That's right, and that will get people who were out of the game back into the game, getting hyped for 40k once again.
A lot of you might be screaming at the screen right now because this solution does pose a problem. What do you do without codexes in the meantime?
A lot of you may have already figured it out. This is our way of introducing digital rules into the mainstream of 40k.
But what about Luddites like Cal?
Hey!
Well, there's a solution for that too. So instead of selling the codexes the first time, they get to sell it again the second time, but not quite like what you might think.
For the physical rulebooks, when a new edition starts out, what we are suggesting is a thing that we're going to call splat books. Essentially, these will be codexes without the fluff, and they're going to be printed in the exact same way that a White Dwarf is, with the exact same cost, lowering the barrier to entry so that people can get into the game right away.
Speaking of, let's make White Dwarves relevant again. White Dwarves will contain the errata for codexes and rules updates every month. And how are we going to do this? Stickers.
What do you mean stickers?
The answer is Kingdom Death Monster. They actually recently came up with an update for their current books, and a lot of the Kingdom Death players are physical only players. So how did they solve the issue of not getting them to buy a new book but still updating the rules? Stickers. You can use these stickers to update the rules with printouts of these rules rules and paste them over the book, and you don't have to buy a new one.
Wait a minute, wasn't this a way to introduce digital rules?
Cal, you're a Luddite. You don't understand digital.
I'll show you. I'll tell them how we're going to implement those digital rules. So many of you may be saying that the rules should be free, and we agree that the rules should be free, both codexes and the core rulebook. But unfortunately, if we give that advice, Games Workshop's not going to listen. So here is our suggestion for implementation. First off, included in their Warhammer Plus subscription, the rules should be free, both the codexes and the rulebook, but it's not free. It's Pen M free.
I'll give you this free pen if you give me $20.
Pen M free.
20 points if you get that reference.
This incentivizes people to not only subscribe to Warhammer Plus, but to stay subscribed, because not only will it have the rules on it, it will have the rules updated because it will be live, it will be online.
This will also provide GW with invaluable marketing information because they'll be able to see how often people are looking up rules and for which factions, allowing them to create better products catered to the community.
However, this is only one part of the digital rules implementation that we suggest. The second part is them selling DRM-free PDFs extremely cheaply. We're talking $1 or $2, but because it's Games Workshop, it's probably going to be $5 to $10.
DRM stands for Digital Rights Management, and essentially this is how Napster was defeated by Apple Music. People felt that the reward far outweighed the risks for spending a small amount of money on music instead of going to pirate sites.
Yes, this way they weren't downloading linkinparknum.exe. There will always be pirates, but you're going to be able to change the conversation around them. They're going to seem like misers instead of people who are giving the middle finger to the almighty company. What do you think of our solutions to Warhammer being inaccessible due to expense?
So this gives players more options and the company more bites at the apple.
If you like this, like the video and maybe comment.
And maybe subscribe.
Alright, Sunny, let's do our classic and we will do our conclusion. Okay, what's our first point?
Editions should have a capstone where players can all play together on equal footing.
This not only creates collectibles, but a memento for people who want to go back and play that edition.
The end of an edition will be treated as a wake and not a funeral, creating more excitement for people to invest in the next future editions.
New editions will be treated like the playtest they are, rather than a final answer.
This will give players and the company more wiggle room and more room for error because of the lowered barrier to entry.
Not just by cost, but also by type. There's two ways of getting the digital information, and the way of getting physical information is a lot easier, and you feel more engaged as a physical person because the updates are coming out for you every month. You feel included.
Cal, you forgot.
Oh right, the WAYPN memberships. Alright, you can join us on WAYPN, on Ko-Fi, or here on YouTube.
Well, Cal, I get to say it this time.
Say what?
Well, that just about covers it.
Alright, well I think there's only one thing that we need to do now, which is
Keep those brushes wet. Bye-bye.
Do you think people will get upset at us because we're coming at it from the company perspective?
Well, someone's always gonna be upset no matter what we say.
Well, I think the problem is if we don't come at this from the company perspective, it's never going to happen. Like, they don't respond to pressure.
Yeah, like we keep telling them these things and complaining, but they haven't done anything about it. So if we give them an incentive, maybe it'll work out.
That's what we want. We want things to be better for you guys, but in order for it to be better for you guys,
it's gotta be better for the company first.
Yeah. So if you thought this was a good idea, please share it around, because this is the only way that a company will change, if it's profitable for them.